Hello, my name is Lenny and this is R.T.B models in association with Frontline Model Hobbies, and this video is going to be the first in what we're going to be showing you is how we do certain sort of like genres, as in cockpits, undercarriages and all that kind of stuff, but from different nations. This being the Royal Air Force modern sort of like cockpit type thing, and it's all modelled on this little thing here. Yes, the Italeri 1/32 scale Tornado GR.4. So what we'll do is on this video and the next three, we'll look at the cockpits and go from there. Okay, so if there's any questions, feel free to chuck them my way, inbox me, DM, PM, whatever you want to call, and we'll go from there. Okay, so sit back, have a look, see what you think. So yeah, ta-da. Right then, it's on with the priming. Okay, what I'm using is same as the ejector seats, which is XF24, which is a dark grey from Panavia. And I'm basically using this to basically get a nice primer coat, but also using it as a shadowing effect when I'm using the actual lighter greys for the actual main base colour. Now the main base colour really is dark gold grey, or in Tamiya language it is XF54, which I've been told is a good lightness. But I'll be using dark gold grey and light gold grey on this. But as I am priming now, I can get good coverage, making sure that I just get into all the corners and all the nooks and crannies. I'll be priming the whole of the cockpit with XF24, and that there is the rear plate or the firewall where the weapons officer will sit. Just a point to note, you've got 3 ejector pin marks on the side of the fuselage which will need to be taken off. Okay, starting with the dark gold grey, just using it in thin coats and just randomly painting it over the actual control panels. Once you've got decent coverage on your first pass, what you can do is start to spray on the upper parts of the cockpit tub. Basically that will start the run for the actual shadowing effect, which you'll get on the inner sides of the cockpit tub. Okay, just cutting in with the light gold grey and basically just going over the top sides of the actual cockpit tub, just doing it in random places, just where the actual control panels are on the actual cockpit tub. So now, as you can see now, slowly but surely, you can see the differences now between the dark grey, the dark gold grey, and now the actual light gold grey. So the whole purpose of it is just to try and get a sort of like a shadowing effect, but also a bit more of a distorted look to the actual control panels. Okay, that's pretty much what we want to do at the moment. That's all 3 of the colours on the cockpit tub. Okay, just using it as same again for the inner fuselage half, same detail, using the dark grey, the dark gold and the light gold grey, and it's just doing it more of a sort of like a distressed pattern, just to show you some, again, shadows and a bit of a worn effect. And there I am, just spraying the light gold grey just to sort of like blend in what we've done. Yeah, I don't know about you, but pulling off masking tape after a finished paint job, it is something quite satisfying. Okay, just give you a quick tour of what I've done so far, including the instrument panels. Right, okay, I wasn't 100% happy with the finish I got, so I just went back again with the light gold grey, just to add a bit more of a highlights actually on the cockpit parts. Okay, next phase is simply just putting a clear base or a flat base, which is from Tamiya, over everything, because when we're coming to do the weathering, I'll be using oils and enamels, which will react to the actual lack of paints if you're not too careful. Okay, to start with, I'm going to show you how I detail up a instrument panel. Now for this I'm using clear blue and a clear green, and I'm mixing these with a retarder from Tamiya. Simply, as you can see, on top of a clear cup, I'm just mixing it in so it flows and you can brush paint it a lot easier over the actual control panel itself. Now you can go by what I've done here using a blue, or you can go straight into a darker colour to begin with. The actual instrument panels are actually finished off using decals and not this method, but I thought I'd just show you just in case you don't have the decals available either in the kit or in a aftermarket form. Okay, just moving on to the other parts of the cockpit, and here we are just dry brushing the control column. And then moving on over to the cockpit tub and doing the dry brushing. And guys, I cannot emphasize this enough, dry brushing brings out so much detail. It is really well worth taking your time and doing the whole complete cockpit. And as I said previously, the actual main instrument panel isn't done by painting. It was completed with using the aftermarket decals from Airscale. And basically you get quite a few bits and pieces that will fit various different aircraft. But for this one, hopefully you can see that I've got the main sort of like LCD screen being put into the pilot's instrument panel. Just using the Ultra Decal Fix by MIG Ammo, it absolutely pulled the actual decal down and gives you a really nice finish. Right then, just give me a quick look at the reference material that I'm using, which will help me to get as near as accurate as I possibly can for the actual main cockpit. and just showing you the complete pilot's instrument panel, all the decals I've used, and also the two panels to the left and the right. I did actually paint those and not use the decals. Okay, there's a part that glues onto the main pilot's instrument panel, which we'll believe is to do with the weapon system or the HUD itself, which is just being glued on by yours truly. In addition to that, you've got the clear part, which will basically be the projector of the HUD onto the main screen. And there I've just basically painted it black and then gone over it with a clear green. Okay, just popping in to do some dry fitting of the main pilot's instrument panel. And what I do is throughout the build itself, I do test fit just to make sure that A, it fits, and B, if it doesn't, at least I can do something about it before it goes absolutely Pete-tong. So there you can see the actual, in some better light, the actual main instrument panel onto the main cockpit tub. Okay, one of the last things that I do with the cockpit tub is I go around and brush paint some of the finer details. Basically, I'm using a black grey for the throttle quadrants for the actual pilot, and basically the paint is on a wet palette, which basically means it's on a sponge with some greaseproof paper and it's constantly wet. So when I'm actually mixing the colours or the acrylic colours, they can brush and mix a lot better. So with that done, I can quickly go on to the other parts, looking at my references, and if there's anything else that needs being painted black, then I can do so straight away. So basically what I'm doing here now is I've used a mixture of black and white to get more of a lighter grey, and I'm just randomly going over some of the panels on the actual cockpit tub, because when you actually do look at the actual reference material, they do seem to be sort of like different shades, some lighter and some darker. Just pointing out, don't overdo it too much, because what you don't want to do is to have your cockpit looking like a patchwork quilt. Okay, this time using a gloss black, I'm just going over with a very fine brush, just picking out the switches and various knobs. Okay, and that is the finished part of the pilot section of the cockpit tub. So with that done, it's on to using a panel line wash, the blue black, which I'll be using from MiG Ammo. Now basically you'll be using this just to put through onto say the demarcation of the different panels over the actual cockpit tub, or the pilot section at least. When you do this, it will give you a darker line in between each of them. So again, once you've done that, it will actually bring out bit more of a dimensional look to your actual instrument panels. When you're using this panel line wash, don't be afraid to use too much. But then again, if you do use too much, you can just simply take it off with a cotton bud or with a dry or a moist clear brush. Okay, using a deep grey panel line wash now, I'm going to be using it on the port side of the pilot's area. And basically I'm using this on this side is just to give it a bit more of a different tone or a different sort of like look. The different look is going to be minimal, however, it is slight and it does give you a nice effect. Or you can just play around with the colours and you can mix and match. Okay, moving on to a dark sea blue panel line wash now, and this will be for the main instrument panel for the pilot. Now, you can look at the references, you can use a very dark one, panel line wash, or maybe even a black, and it's basically just going over more of the sort of like the switches, or the sort of like the indication lights or panels, which are actually on the actual instrument panel itself. And plus you can go through and dab all over it with this panel line wash, just to sort of like get that demarcation between the actual instrument dials and the LCD screens. Right, near the end of the cockpit now, and basically what I'm doing here is just painting in one of the screens for the weapons officer. And as I did show you before, it's a combination of Tamiya retarder and their clear green. Okay, just to let you know, I did find something wrong with the cockpit tab on the weapons officer side. As you can see, the actual panels on the instrument side, yeah, bit of a mismold there. Okay, just showing you, sort of like better light, is that instrument panel side there. Oh dear, Italeri. Never mind, soldier on. And just giving you a bit of a close-up of the completed pilot section of the cockpit. Yeah, well happy with that. Okay, just finishing off now. It's just gluing in the last bits and pieces. And this I'm using Tamiya extra thin, and I'm just going to be gluing in part of the weapons officer's control column stick type thing. And so with the weapons officer's control instrument panel, that can just basically just slot in just above where the his joystick is. And again, it's a really nice fit and you won't have any issues with that whatsoever. Okay, then it's just the rear firewall, as it were, just the glue in, and it's job done. And onto the finished cockpit. Right, hope you enjoyed that video. Hopefully you've learned something. If you have, that's fantastic, because that means this video has paid for itself. So yeah, anyway, on to the next video, where you'll see something else with the cockpit, I think. Anyway, just to let you know as well, in the description below you'll have a link, and that will link you to other cockpits and other type of things that we're doing. Rob Bedford will be doing, at the moment, at the time of this video, 3, not 1, but 3 ME262 cockpits in 1/32 scale, and I'll go through different ways of actually painting, weathering, all those 3. But also he's doing the modern US cockpits, being the MV Osprey, which is the 1/48 scale one that's new at the time of this video-ish, of the Hobby Boss version. Okay, so pop yourself down there on the old link, go and have a look, and yeah, hopefully you learn something. So yeah, cool beans. Right, I'm off. I've got things to do, as in building. So until then, happy modelling. Take yourself off to the old bench. Take care, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Ta-da.